Just I don't know how anyone in the world is okay with this, but there's something that Israel did, Colonel, I want to get your thoughts on. And they struck an Iranian desalination plant, a water purification plant. That was very bizarre for me because Iran doesn't really need it. They've got over 30 of them. They've also got a lot of rivers. They've got a lot of sources for water. The Gulf need those desalination plants. And if Iran responds in kind, which they've done previously, and they've already struck, I think, one in Bahrain or Qatar, if they strike desalination plants in the Gulf, then we're in a pretty scary situation where they could start to choke off the Gulf from a necessity, not a nice to have, but a necessity for the people there. My question to you is, why did Israel strike the oil depots? Why did, without American approval, according to reports, why did they strike a desalination plant in Iran? And why did the Jerusalem Post put out a false story and piss off the Emirates by saying the UAE is striking Iranian targets when the UAE was not doing so and there was no reports of them doing so? Is it the obvious, and I'm asking kind of a rhetorical question, is Israel just trying to drag the U.S. in a prolonged war? And to what extent?
Oh, I think that's very true. I think they would like to have us in a state of perpetual warfare with the enemies of Israel. That's their view. But you need to come to terms with the reality. The Israelis don't care about anybody in the Gulf. They could care less. They don't care about anybody who is not a Jew. Let's be frank. This is the state of Jewish supremacy. This is a war of Jewish supremacy. How many times do you have to listen to someone like Netanyahu or Ben-Gvir or a host of other people tell you that? At some point, you have to take people at their word, believe what they are saying. And they don't give a damn about us. We are only useful insofar as that they can employ our military power at will in support of their goals. Is it in our interest to destroy the Iranian nation state? No, we have no interest in that. Why would we be interested in doing a thing like that? We want to trade. Trade is the lifeblood of our nation. We are a commercial state. We're not some sort of totalitarian Soviet Union that walls itself off and then tries to impose new communist regimes in other states. That's all nonsense. Israel is interested in one thing, Israel. And if Israel has to sacrifice millions of people in order for it to feel safe, in order for it to dominate the region, that is exactly what Israel will do. Now, inside the United States, this truth is finally beginning to be felt. People are beginning to figure this out. And they're asking the question, what are we doing? What is this for? Why would we implement a draft and raise 1 million men and then move them 6,000 miles from the United States to attack people in Iran? People are asking that. What's the reason? What's the strategic purpose? Was Iran a threat to us? And people know that's not true. We've been listening to all of these lies for years. Oh, the Iranians are 2 weeks from a nuclear weapon. Iran's been 2 weeks from a nuclear weapon for at least 30 years. And by the way, if they get a nuclear weapon, they're going to nuke America. What? Why? Is there a particular reason for that? No. And remember, historically, when we went into the Gulf, we said our purpose there was to permit commercial traffic. In other words, to facilitate it, to protect it, to encourage it, not to stop it. But then under tremendous pressure from the Israeli lobby in the United States and the Zionist billionaires that back it and Israel itself, we finally decided, all right, we'll go to war and we'll get the deal that you want. We'll emasculate Iran. We'll make them bow to your interests and what you want. After all, that's happened in the Gulf. That's what the Gulf states have done. Effectively, Saudi Arabia has done that. Has anyone ridden to the rescue of the Palestinians who are being murdered or expelled from their homes? Has the Egyptian army said we have a moral obligation to our brothers to cross Israel's border and protect all of these people who are being driven from their homes and killed? No. What about the Turks? What about the Turks? There's the 500-pound gorilla in the room. The largest army in NATO, a powerful state, supposedly Muslim, supposedly feeling solidarity with Muslims everywhere. And what have they done? Nothing. And Syria, what's happened in Syria? We removed the moderate who actually ran the country and essentially tolerated Shiites, Jews, Armenians, Christians. We got rid of him. We replaced him with an ISIS al-Qaeda alumnus. That suits Mr. Netanyahu. That seems to suit Mr. Erdogan. But now we see the Israelis moving north in Lebanon. Eventually, the Israelis are going to move north in Syria. What will the Turks do at that point? The only nation state in the region that has said no thank you to Israel is Iran. And so it had to be attacked. It had to be destroyed. Only it refuses to be destroyed, and it refuses to capitulate. That's the stark truth.
What happens if Trump seeks an off-ramp and Iran refuses that?
Well,
they want to continue the war, as we said to the toe.
Iran has already said, we are not going to negotiate. Forget it. You've had it.
So what happens if they keep bombing Israel? What happens if their capabilities don't get eroded and the U.S. pulls out and they keep bombing Israel to ensure it never happens again? What could Israel do next?
It presupposes that we can disengage. See, I don't think Mr. Trump has had this conversation with Mr. Netanyahu, because without us, Israel is going to have a tough time surviving. This is a world-changing event in the Gulf. Sykes-Picot is over. Everyone's had it. And the Muslim people who live in all of these countries have had it, even if they're elites who are wealthy and enjoying the good life don't necessarily agree with them. The truth is the vast majority of Muslims, Arab, Turks, and Persians have had it. So the old Sykes-Picot arrangement is dead. So what's going to happen? I don't think we can just arbitrarily disengage. We're going to have to come to terms of some kind, and I think we know what those terms are. Iran is going to say, America out of the Gulf.